Welcome to the House of Edtech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nessie. The House of Edtech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. Good evening, everybody. What is going on? It is... What day is it? These days are all running together. Stupid pandemic. It is Wednesday, February 3rd. See, I just had to put it on the screen, Fonz. It's Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. Hashtag TCEA21 is in full swing. I'd say it's day 3, but I guess it's day 3 of the first week of the first month of TCEA. So welcome aboard, everybody. It is great to be back doing another live stream. And like Michael Jackson once said, I am not alone. And that's the most I'm going to sing. You're all very welcome. I am joined by Mr. My Edtech Life himself, the Fonz. What's going on, bud?
Hey, how's it going, Chris? Thank you again for the invite. And I'm really looking forward to our discussion today on the TCEA recap and a couple of little tricks, or actually a little platform that we were playing with that I'm excited to share. You know, it's always great to share some new tools out there. So looking forward to that, but mostly talking about some of the sessions from these last 2 days since we were last on Monday. So a lot of great stuff out there, Chris. Definitely a lot of great stuff.
There is a lot of great stuff, and I'm very appreciative that you're taking the time to join me on the live stream again. We had such a fun time on Monday night. If you haven't seen that, go check out the replay. Go to chrisnessie.com/YouTube and you can see the replay. There's a nice playlist there for TCEA 21. And I know I'll be back, and I'm going to preemptively invite Fonz if he wants to come back on Friday night, February 5th. You're welcome to come on back, Fonz. We can have a little Friday night fiesta.
Hey, there you go. Because what else is there to do on Friday night? It's not, there ain't no party if it ain't a Nessie party. Something like that, right?
Man, that is good. That is good. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little TCEA. If you're checking in with us on the chat, that'd be fantastic. Just let us know where you're checking in from. And if you engaged in TCEA, whether you are an attendee or a presenter, you're more than welcome to be a part of the conversation. All you need to do is go to chrisnessie.com/join, and you can be a part of the show, and we would love to chat with you tonight. We're going to be here until around 11 o'clock, give or take the excitement of the conversation that we're having. So let us know where you're checking in from, and whether maybe you're watching on Twitch, maybe you're checking this out through Twitter /the Dead Periscope, but leave a comment, say hello, and let's dive right in. So, Fonz, when we spoke on Monday, you said you were going to be doing a session yourself yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We did a great session. Shout out to Melissa Summerford at Summerford Stars. So we did a great session yesterday on finding your EdTech tribe. And it was just a wonderful session overall, just being able to share our experience. Just to give you a little backstory there, Chris, both Melissa and I applied this year for the Google Innovator Academy, which went virtual because of, the Rona. So that is pretty much how Melissa and I ended up meeting through these Google Innovator chats, and preparing our applications, which is definitely a process in itself. And it was just great to be able to connect with many other Google innovators globally. And you're talking about 2,300 Google innovators worldwide, and Melissa and I were it was 78 of us that were chosen for the academy globally. So 78 out of what population of 8 billion or so that I mentioned, something around there. So it was definitely something that was great. But more than anything, it's just that the connections that we were able to make with so many people out there that are helpful. Like we were talking, on Monday, sometimes we can be scared to reach out for help because we may see some people on edge of Twitter and we may feel a little intimidated, like, oh man, like, they're so good. They've done this, they've done that. But everybody has received some sort of help along the way, some wise words from people, some encouragement. And so our session was just to help people really feel comfortable in reaching out, making those connections. And so it was a very exciting session that we had. Like I mentioned, we did have some wonderful feedback, and our hashtag Find Your Tribe really like took off last night. And so we are planning another session February the 11th, and we'll be doing that through Global GEG. So it'll be the same repeat session, just trying to get to more people and just really inspire people to connect, because it's amazing what the power of connections, the community that you build, and the opportunities that you get from getting to connect with people are amazing. So we definitely don't want people to miss out on those things. But it was a great session, Chris. Thank you for asking.
No, and I'm gonna ask you more, but I want to do 4 quick hits right here, real quick. So first, I want to say hello to Sharo Dickerson, checking in from El Paso, Texas. How far are you from El Paso, Fonz?
I am, geez, like about a day drive, maybe like 12. Yeah, because it takes me 24 hours just to get out of Texas to go to California. So it's about a day drive. Yeah, from where I'm at.
Okay.
I'm in the southern tip of Texas, in McAllen, Texas, that area.
All right. So, I mean, you're closer than I am. I have to get on a plane to go visit Sharo. I also want to say hello to Stephanie Scrocky from right here in New Jersey. And I changed up. I said howdy to Sharo, and I said, how you doing to Stephanie? Because, there's different ways to say hello. But thank you both for checking in and watching. You got questions, comments. You ladies both know to use the chat. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, again, chrisnessy.com/join. So that's the first 2 things. Fonz, number 3, I don't do a lot of math in my head, and I didn't do this math in my head. I pulled up the calculator and I did the math about what'd you say? 77 out of 8 billion.
Yeah. 78 out of 8 billion, around there.
All right. So I did the math, and that is 0.000000975% of the population got to do what you did.
There you go. There you go. So again, and imagine that. I mean, out of 8 billion people, that are here around the globe, and then 78 of us got chosen. But it's through the power of connections, being able to connect with others that can help you. And, I think that for me, this process of not only am I thrilled about, being selected, but also becoming an innovator. But I think the thing that I am taking the most out of is the connections that I have been able to make from this last year up until now, and that my PLF, my personal learning family, continues to grow on the daily, and it's really exciting. Just again, by getting some sage advice from Micah Shippey. So big shout out to Micah Shippey for reaching out to me and helping me out through the process. So yeah.
My next question is, I'm hesitant to ask it, and no, it's I don't think it's funny, but it's sort of serious. So in talking about this, there's a word that you keep using that makes me say, wait a second. I don't have an issue with it. Okay. But you use the word tribe, right? And being the former producer of the Google Teacher podcast, which is what used to be called the Google Teacher Tribe podcast, I know that Matt and Casey dealt with some pushback over the use of the word tribe in the name of their podcast, and obviously promoting, what that was all about. Mm-hmm. So I am curious to know if you have gotten any pushback about the use of that word, or do you think there's an issue with the use of that word? I personally do not, because, but that's
not,
me. But what do you
not
think?
not yet, but thank you for bringing that up. I mean, yesterday, everybody was really cool. We didn't have any comments. I haven't seen anything coming through. But that was just the name of the session. When you find that group, that clique, that just your friends that are out there that get you. And so it was just the name of the session. But honestly, I'm thankful that at least I haven't seen anything come up yet, but you never know. It may come up in these next couple of days or something, but we'll see, No,
again, I only bring it up because I love the concept of what you're talking about. Like I live it, you live it. Mm-hmm. Like we're trying to connect and find our people that, almost like Simon Sinek says, find the people who believe what you believe. Right. And we want to make those connections, because it's those connections and those relationships, like we were talking about earlier, that are super valuable and really important. It's just that it can be a pain when other ideals interfere with what is good-hearted and positive.
Yeah.
And so I was frustrated a couple of years ago when, they changed the name of the show. To the point where while they were debating that, I reached out to Seth Godin, emailed Seth. We had a conversation. I had a conversation with Seth Godin, people, about the word tribe, because he uses it. And so he was like, to each their own, but it's, I don't know. I was just curious because, just curious.
No. And that's a great question. And you know what, honestly, Chris, I'm going to be plain honest with you. It never really crossed my mind. It honestly never did. Even when Melissa and I were both working on the presentation, that's just the way that we always knew it. And even with our friends, we were like, oh man, I just feel so happy. Like we found, our group, our clique, we found our tribe, we found our people that get us, that understand us, that concept. So, we never used it or meant to use it in any other term other than, these are our friends. These are the people that get us, that we can connect with at that same level. So, like I said, it was something that never really even crossed our minds. We were just excited because it's not often that we get opportunities to get chosen to present. And I guess we might have gotten lost in all of that. But, on the upside, we were able to help many people that were there just simply get inspired or to start maybe their journey. Maybe they were facing that. We talked a little bit about imposter syndrome and how many people that holds them back from either moving on to getting a certification because they may feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, or applying for a conference, because they feel like they're going to get rejected. And, and I shared my story with you, getting rejected. But then I was like, well, instead of having somebody go to a conference and pay to be part of a conference and me not getting chosen, I can just turn around and do that for free for people and get to do my own little conference with other people that might have not gotten chosen. And we're still going to put out our content. So I got really excited, and that really helped me a lot when I sent you that message of, hey, check this out.
It's funny you say that. Our conversation sparked in me. I remember, must have been at some point in the fall or at some point, I tweeted something about like, I need to start a conference, and a lot of people were like, yeah, at Mr. Jesse, yeah. What kind of conference would you start? So between your comment and the way my brain works, and talking with AJ, to AJ today, I was like, I finally figured out the conference I want to run, and I know what I'm going to call it. I want to run a conference called Reject Ed. And let me, I'm not going to pull it up on screen, but I will read what I said. I said, Reject Ed, a conference for all the great presentations that never get accepted. Big names need not apply. whatever a big name is. So I mean, who knows? Maybe one day I will run Rejected and it'll be sponsored by Reflected.
There
Sorry,
you
AJ.
go.
I don't want to drag AJ's good podcast into the mud that I'm making. But
hey, I'll sponsor it too.
there you go. So again, there's a lot of people who, what you just said, they're afraid to put their voice out there, and then you get the people that decide to finally put together a proposal, and then a la George McFly, what if they tell me I'm no good? What if they reject me? So, Mel A checking in. Are you talking about the rejected SD proposal? I'm talking about any conference anywhere.
Yeah, any conference, Mel.
If you've been rejected from a conference, a first date, whatever, you bring me your tired, you're hungry, and your ideas, and I'll put together a platform. Maybe that'll be the next great summit. We're digital. We have all these summits and virtual events. Maybe, Fonz, the tool that we're going to demonstrate could be a place virtually.
Yeah,
that Reject Ed could happen.
Yeah, it'll be our Reject Ed space. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, I think going along with what you're saying, Chris. I mean, I just want to let those people know. I mean, if you put in proposals and you may feel like, oh man, I'm finally going to do it, and you don't get it the first time, then there's always the following year. There's always other conferences. But most importantly, guys, I think one of the things that I have learned the most, I think within this last year or it's going on 2 years, is we have the power of these tools. I mean, your phone, your integrated camera, YouTube, you can do a live stream. There's a software that's out there that's free that you can stream, and you can just put your stuff out there and share. And I'm gonna always come back to the words of my friend Al Thomas, who was on the show, and I always use this snip, and it is keep doing what you're doing because somebody else is watching you and they're waiting for you to do that one thing that can definitely make a change in their life, or whether it's inspirational, whether it's taking a different road, but there's always somebody that's going to be watching what you do. And in addition to that, Chris, I wanted to add that I did see, I think somebody had posted either on Twitter or somewhere else where you think like, no, somebody else already did that idea or somebody else already has that idea. And they put a picture of the bread aisle in a grocery store. And they said, same idea, different packaging. There's always a customer for it. So don't beat yourself down. Just put yourself out there and put your content out there.
I can't agree more. and I had never heard the bread aisle analogy, but man, that's good, right?
That's pretty deep, huh?
That is deep. That is deep. I like that. I'm going to use that. But yeah, I mean, put your stuff out there.
Yeah.
Most anybody who's listening to this or watching this, you're probably on Twitter. Go live on Twitter, right? Ed camps, you could say, are like the small comedy club circuit on your way to the Apollo, right? So if you've got that presentation, something you're passionate about, attend a local Ed camp or some other type of smaller event. Maybe you do it in your district for your colleagues. Practice it. I didn't go out the very first time to talk about podcasting at a big major conference. I cut my teeth and sharpened my sword on presenting on the topic by going to Ed camps and smaller events. And, eventually I'll get to go and present at an ISTE or a FETC or a TCEA, or not, and just go to my podcast and I will talk about everything at some point that I'm passionate about teaching people about, right? Or you go to my Edtech Life and learn what the Fonz is teaching and passionate and talking about. So there's more than one way to get the learning, and certainly more than one way for us to share our knowledge and our passions. So
yeah. So definitely encourage everybody out there, because again, you may have the same idea, just a different presentation, different iteration of it. And it may make sense to that person, that specific person that needs that, So again, like Chris is saying, I definitely encourage you, go live. Like you said, Twitter, go live on Instagram. Sometimes I'll put my stuff out there on Instagram and I'll just go live, just like, hey, here's me drinking my coffee, and I just wanted to share something with you and putting it out there. And again, you never know who it may affect in a positive way, and you can make their day. You can inspire them to do or take that next step, and that's about it. I mean, it doesn't have to be for likes. It doesn't have to be for edu famous, or things of that sort. There's people that genuinely share because they really care about people, and they want to see other people succeed. And that's a lot of what I do, because a lot of people have helped me to get to build up this confidence and to be able to do what I'm doing. And I just, again, like Kim Matina says, paying it forward. You just share what is given to you, and that's it.
So, Fonz, along those lines, when did you start My EdTech Life?
All right. Well,
When
my
did you
tech.
launch?
Okay, launch officially as a
Yeah.
show. It was in April 10th. That was when I first launched. However, the idea was something that had come up 3 years ago, and it was just a hashtag. All I was doing is I had just gotten a new job as an instructional tech, and I would just stop and pick up some coffee, at a local coffee shop right before I get to work, and I just started using the hashtag. Oh, this is my EdTech life. Like I want to share my life. This is my EdTech life, and then hashtag coffee then things and caffeinated tech and blah blah blah, all that stuff. And then I just kept using my EdTech life. This is my EdTech life. This is my EdTech life. And then I said, you know what? This is something here that I can do. And so that plan had been there for a while, but it just never came to fruition. I did have a podcast prior to my EdTech life that was, I think, like 3 episodes, and it was called Caffeinated Tech. But I don't think the timing was right, because I didn't know what I didn't know. And now I know what I don't know. And now I know, and I move forward. And so now, because of those experiences, I hope that made sense.
No, the way you said it, I feel like I don't know anything now.
Well, anyway, then now it became Maya Tech Life. And this is it. This is my passion. This is me, just me, being genuine, being who I am, and getting to hear other people's stories through the podcast, and building relationships, which is pretty much the theme of a lot of the conferences that I've gone to or seen, or the sessions through TCEA. The importance of relationships, building that friendship and that connection is something that is important. And I think for people, that's something that we really need to see. And um, I know, like I mentioned on Monday, there's some podcasts that go and they're like real deep into the pedagogy, and I just like to talk to people just because I just want to get to know them, and not necessarily what they do and how they work, but just, hey, what do you like? What are your obstacles? What have been some things that you faced, whether in education or or whatever it is you'd like to share. But just so people get to know the person behind maybe that Twitter edufamous facade, but they get to know the person, how genuine they are, how uh, approachable they are. And that's really what I like to do.
No, I love it. And since you launched, has there been a point or points where you thought to yourself, or have you doubted yourself, or have you thought, what am I doing? Is this worth it?
Yeah, I think there was a point like in about episode 7. And the reason that I say 7 is because at least somebody commented, or I had read, that usually most podcasts go maybe up to 7 shows, and then people find out whether it's really for you or not. And when I got to episode 7, I was like, man, like I really have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just clicking record and just going with it. And I just said, all right, let's keep going. Let's see how far we can get. And then it was when I decided at that time to look towards Twitter. And then, of course, I heard about some guy, who's got a podcast network, and it's a pretty famous guy around there, and oh wait, I happen to be on his show right now. And so I started reaching out to people and asking questions, asking advice. And it's amazing the power of those connections, how um, I was able or have been able to continue the show. I mean, now we're going to do show 43 coming up this Saturday. And I can't believe it. I'm like, 43. I was like, man, that's already close to 50. And then I'm like, wow, 100 is like right around the corner. I never thought that I would be making it that far, but it's because just the support of people, not only from, I guess I won't use that word, but just from my PLF, my personal learning family, people like yourself, people like other podcasters, AJ, my man too, and other podcasters that I am meeting, other educators, and the feedback, the people like that have sent me a message that really fill my bucket to say, hey, we like what you're doing, keep doing it. And I thought I had a beautiful message that I shared, and I took your advice, Chris, and I read it out loud, and it's recorded there on, I believe it was show 41 or 39 actually, that I read out a beautiful message that an educator sent me, stating that they had lost their flame, they lost that passion for education because of the use of technology, and they just felt out of it. But that through watching the show and seeing how educators are using technology in a simple way, that fanned the flame and it just encouraged her and inspired her. I was just taken back. And so those things are the feedback. That's her fuel, that we're out there making a difference and helping people out and just being genuine and sincere, So, that's, I don't want to get all teary eyed or anything, but
Hey, it's worth it, Fonz. It's worth it.
Yeah, it really is.
Real quick, you're getting some love in the chat. People are loving the idea of the term, the PLF, the personal learning family. And I also want to say hello to somebody who I have spoken to, listens to the House of Edtech, and that is Ryan Gutch. And glad he's here. He had commented earlier that I feel that my randomness doesn't matter to other people. Maybe it does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. That's why I think, and I'm sure Fonz, you agree, everybody should try podcasting or YouTube or just somehow putting your voice out there, because what makes it special and what makes it worth it is everybody's got their unique perspective and the life experiences they will put behind whatever they want to talk about. Whether it's ed tech or education or playing hopscotch, I don't care. We all have things that we're interested in and passionate about. And it's your unique point of view that makes it worth it. So, as a wise man once said, just give it a try.
Or actually, and I'm going to use this because it's one of the episodes that I used to promote Chris's episode when he was on my EdTech Live. But I'm going to say, as a wise woman once said, just click record. I think that's what she told you, right? Basically, in as many words, just click record.
Yeah.
You're always complaining about other people's ideas. Click record and do your own.
There you go. That's it. I got tired of being a retweeter. So I was like, I'm going to put my voice out there, and here I am. And Fonz, again, you're almost 50 episodes into your run, and you have felt self-doubt. You will continue to feel that. I'm 173 episodes into this. I still doubt myself and wonder if I'm making a difference. And every time I wonder, something happens. I hear from somebody, I get an email, or downloads go up, and I see the evidence that says, no, you idiot, you are making an impact and you are making a difference for people. So there you go.
Yeah. Mr. Podcast over here.
That's right, HA.
I was going to say, and that's another thing, Chris, that I think at the very beginning, it was the numbers and the numbers and the numbers, and that could be very discouraging. But once I really just stopped paying attention to the numbers and just saying, you know what, I'm being me. This is, like you were saying right now to Ryan, this is me. This is my concept. This is my passion. This is my passion project. This is what I love. Absolutely. I mean, I just having conversations and growing my PLF. But not only that, I have 1 hour, maybe like 40 or 45 minutes to an hour with one person that I get to learn from, from the show, and then people get to learn from them. It's I get awesome PD. PD. I get PD twice a week. Now that I've been doing my shows, pretty much like Wednesdays and Saturdays, and the growth that I get from that, and most importantly, like you said, you get those emails, and yeah, now I kind of see those downloads, kind of spike up, and it just makes me happy because I know it's not easy sometimes for those people as guests to come on and really open up and share, and maybe share a side that maybe nobody knew, or as far as them also being vulnerable or having or going through obstacles and sharing their stories. And I think that's something that's very important. So that's the whole point of my show. Share your story. Everybody's got one. We can all learn from it, and then make some connections while you're at it.
There you go. I'm going to take this time to, I feel like I'm going to do the Clubhouse thing. I'm not going to reset the room, but I just want to say that, and one, I hear stuff, and again, the next episode of the House of Edtech is going to be all about Clubhouse for educators. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you go to,
I was going to say, that's me clapping.
Oh God. You're making my eyes hurt, but I get it. Real quick, if you're just new to what we're doing here, because I've seen the number of people watching go up and go down, and now it's up a little higher, let us know where you're coming from in the chat. My name is Chris Nessie. This is a live edition of the House of Edtech, as we're talking loosely about TCEA. We're having a great conversation about creating content and putting yourself out there. And we do have a demo of a tool that Fonz learned about today that we are going to be putting up on the screen. So want to say again, hello. Somebody new who put something in here. Hello to John. It's like I said, it's like Beetlejuice. Guess who's in the house?
Hey, how you doing over there?
AJ's in the house.
What the hell did you just say?
That's right.
Oh my goodness, that's so simple.
No, this is Bull Dinky, Mr. Podcast over here.
And now he's going, why did I show up? But what's going on, AJ? And what's going on, John? And Fonz, we've got a caller.
Nice.
Let us welcome in the incomparable, the amazing Sharo Dickerson.
Hey, good evening, guys. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I was looking forward to this. I thought you will never be able to recap TCEA, Chris, because I really enjoyed the the recaps you've done with ISTE. So this is a great thing for you to do. So it's a really good surprise.
It's definitely fun to do, and again, with somebody like Fonz, it makes the conversation easier. And with you here, now we're going to make the conversation better. So what do you got?
Well, you were talking earlier about, content creation. And I think, Fonz, this is my first time to hear you. So I started following you already in your Twitter. So I'm looking forward to, really learning a lot from you as well. Because, Chris knows me a little bit. I'm an educator for the past, 24 years. So 24 years of experience, and always and will continue to be a lifelong learner. So when we were talking about content creation, I think that's the biggest challenge now that I'm seeing a lot with teachers that I've trained or continue to train, and even with people who I work with in the district level. So it's always a challenge as to what are we going to train the teachers on, and how are we going to present it? How are we going to deliver it? And I've noticed that too in TCA. There's a lot of repetition, but just delivered in different ways and forms. But there are also some really good ones that I keep on, even though there's some similarities, I'm like, oh, I did not think about that. I'm going to add that now to my plate. And let me see what I can, what I can do with it. So It's rare to find those kinds of sessions though, because I think a lot of the people, like what I said, a lot of presenters in any type of conference, they keep on replicating the same thing, just adding, I guess, their own flavor. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just my observation. Have you guys noticed that too in the sessions you've seen so far?
Absolutely. Again, I mean, from conference to conference, you get that repetition of topics, but it's not always the same people presenting on the topics. So again, we go back to creating content. It's that unique person's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. The Fonz and I, we could do 2 separate presentations about podcasting, and they'd be 2 different, 2 valuable presentations, but it's going to be our unique spin. So I don't mind the repetition so much.
I think oftentimes people are swayed more by the name that's on the presentation. And, then you see that, hey, I mean, I heard this already, I saw this other presentation, and so sometimes, you think that you're going to go and you're going to see something different, but it turns out to be something generally the same, just like Chris says, it's a different spin on it. And sometimes I see presentations that are very similar. And what I started doing is I'll go to presentations that people who I do not know or maybe have not heard of. And during these last 2 days that I've done that, I was blown away because I've been, I was like, why haven't I heard of this person? And then I just started following them. And now I actually reached out to some of them to actually be a guest because I loved what they presented. And at least their spin on it really kind of caught my eye because it was a little bit different than what I had been used to seeing. Like you said, there is a lot of repetition, but in the end, it just all depends on, like we're talking the bread, lots of bread out there, different packaging, but there's always going to be a customer for that specific package. So, we just got to take it like that.
What's going to happen, Fonz, and this has certainly happened with the House of Edtech. You're going to get people who are going to come on your show. You're going to find these amazing people and you're going to be like, wow, this is an awesome person. I'm going to have them on my show. How does nobody know about them? They're going to be on your show and then they're going to pass you by because then all of a sudden they're going to become bigger and more influential. And if you look at the run of early episodes of the show for me, you'll be like, wow, they were on the House of Edtech and now look at, so I've launched a few people.
I think that's what they said about episode 17 when you were on. You're like, wow, he was on my Edtech Live. Look at him now.
But hey, Chris House of Podcast, it's such an inspiration, it's nice. And I think that's why I enjoy listening, to the House of Podcast because you share different perspective. It's just not one-sided, so to speak. So it's good to hear like the opposite end and hear where they're coming from. So that's what makes it exciting and interesting at the same time. So I really like that. But I noticed too in this TCA conference, there's not a lot of podcasting. So I was looking forward to that because I'm thinking like this year would be to start, reigniting and influencing librarians to really utilize podcasting. To do their storytelling, to share books, their favorite books to the kids, books that they would recommend to the students, and also their own personal favorites. Why are you reading this? Because community of a literacy community or community of readers, it's not just about kids, it's also about the adults. And being in El Paso, being a border city, we want to really, share that wealth of knowledge of why it is important, no matter what your age is, to continue on reading and to really love reading because it really makes a big difference.
Oh, I agree with you. Actually, we talked about that on Monday, right, Chris? We're talking about podcasting, and
yes, we did. We found the 3 sessions that existed, and they're all 3 very different sessions.
And I told Chris my proposal was on podcasting and live streaming and doing a workflow, but oh well. So Chris, I don't know, speaking right now that Cheryl's here, maybe something to think about where we can do like a little podcast conference or something like that. Just, I don't know, think about it.
I was going to say, Cheryl, I mean, you've got the setup and very, very, very impressive pop filter, boom arm. you got two podcasters right here. What do you want to ask us about podcasting? We can certainly, I'll talk to the director of the show. Can we do what we want? Yes, you can do what you want. So what do you want to know about podcasting?
It's also free, right? So no charge.
Yes. It's all good.
That's Chris's favorite word, free.
Fire away, Shar. What do you got?
Well, I guess, I've always believed in hashtag KISS, which is keep it super simple. So if you have a brand new individual who wanted just like, give me the gist. What is a podcast? What would be your basic, keep it super simple information that you can share to somebody who wants to know what a podcast is and how do I start? Where do I even begin?
Well, you kind of have two questions there. So in terms of defining a podcast, I'm going to have to go with what I learned as the textbook definition of a podcast, and that is audio or video that is distributed via an RSS feed. So it's something you can subscribe to. So on the technical side, it's a blog post with media attached to it. That's it, right? So when we talk about our show notes and go and look at our websites, it's a blog post with the audio or video or even a PDF file. A PDF could be a podcast if you distribute it through RSS. Doesn't really happen, but so it's mostly audio. So that's how I would define it. How would I get started? You can record onto the Notes app on your phone or your tablet or right into your computer, and everybody's got access to a microphone to some level. Does it have to be this microphone or the Fonz's microphone or your microphone? No, you can start with your phone. You can start with your laptop or your tablet. I default to, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start if you want to get great and kind of climb and improve over time. There's any number of apps. Some people will be like, he's going to say it. I'm going to say it. You could start with Anchor. I think Anchor is a great place to dip your toe in the water. If you want to get more serious about it, you could still use Anchor, and AJ knows and some other people who I've coached to use Anchor. There's just a couple of steps you need to take to have 100% full control. All right. Otherwise, you could go with a paid media host. All right. There are people who will tell you, oh, I listened to that podcast on YouTube. Okay. Technically, it's not a podcast, but if you think because you're clicking subscribe and you're going to check in on that content every week, hey, God bless you. You're subscribed, you're listening, you're consuming the content. But if I'm going to teach people to do it, I'm going to teach them to do it. I don't have to say the right way, but the best way I know how.
That's really cool. And I can definitely bring that back with me and share it. Share it like what I said. My first audience will be the librarians. So that's pretty exciting. What about you, Fonz? What do you think?
I'm going to bring it down from Anchor. And this is what at least I've done or shared with teachers. I go to a free app called 123 Apps, and I just simply record everything there. I can download the MP3 that I can later upload into maybe Audacity, make some cuts in there. And then if I don't want to put it up in Anchor because you don't want to intimidate teachers and they don't want to start accounts and then they want to do all that good stuff, just create a Google site and then you can upload your audio there. You can create Google Slides that will work. You put them up on your webpage or share those with your parents, maybe through a Remind. You can share the site. They click there. They listen to the audio. They get the podcast or the audio of the books. So that would be like for me, because I come from elementary. I would just really keep it very simple if you don't want to intimidate. And as you see that growth and as you see the need, go on to those next steps, and then say, hey, you know what? How about we have a district, either Anchor account or a paid provider where we can upload all our district podcasts there, or maybe, something of that sort. But, something as simple as 123 Apps just to record your audio, or even or just go straight to Audacity that you can record your audio there and take that link, upload it into Google Drive, and then attach it to a Google slide, a Google site, something. You're solid, you're golden, and it's an easy way to start.
And
That's
John
awesome.
shared it in the chat as well. You could also use Flipgrid, audio only option. Again,
Yes.
like the watered down version that the Fonz is talking about using Flipgrid. Again, by definition, is it a podcast? No. But with younger students or kids or even adults, if you just want to get started, it's a great way to get into the game of doing the research, writing a script, figuring out my thoughts, recording my thoughts, letting other people hear what I recorded. So it's the first floor. You know, we don't walk into the building and we're right away at the top in the penthouse, right? We have to learn, and you go through stages. So with younger grades, just get them recording, get them to not be giggling, get them to just build that skill. You know, if we treated podcasting like math, all right, what we're doing right now, this is like calculus, right? We're not teaching calculus to a first grader. We're going to teach them how to add. We're going to show them what numbers are. So here's how you talk into a microphone. Here's how you press record. And then you just, depending on the age level, you can introduce different skills and different skills. Yeah, I'll just stop there.
Yeah, you can also use like WeVideo. Also, WeVideo allows you to podcast, and then you can take it to that next level and actually adding video to it and creating narrations and things of that sort. But again, there's options there that you can start with. But I think it's just important just to, like you said, I love your philosophy, and that's just the teacher in me, always wanting to keep it simple and as simple as possible. And then once everybody is, at that level where they're confident, then boom, just take it up a notch. And, and I think part of the process is something that's beautiful too. And later on seeing like, wow, look at how we first started and look at where we're at now. And that's really empowering to a lot of people and teachers, when you train them and then you see like, oh, wow, like I can't believe I used to be scared of this, or this is the way I used to do things. And now look at what I'm doing, and it's great. So I don't know, just that's just my point of view on that.
Ryan also asked in the chat, when would be a good point where you would want to push out to major apps like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc.?
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
My thoughts would be you could do that from day one, or you could wait, or you could never do it. You don't necessarily have to be in these places, especially if we're talking about student podcasts and podcast projects. Maybe there's not a reason to be. I mean, kids will think it's cool if they could say, oh, I'm in Spotify. Kids will think that's cool. So you could, but maybe you just make them aware of it. And if it's something they want to pursue, you don't have to feel that pressure to put it out there. Even if I'm doing something for a school or a school district, yeah, that's going to make it easy to distribute it if it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and the people in your community can easily access it like any other podcast. I would certainly give that some consideration. But again, to what Fon said, you could be a school or a district and just put the audio player on your website, and then your community knows, hey, we've got a new YouTube video, or we've got this new audio file, or maybe we put the audio on YouTube and it's just simpler for people to just go to YouTube and watch our YouTube channel where we put it out. So there's no one way to do any of this. It's like going to the Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right.
That's right.
That's cool. Love it. Love it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it. Now, you're kind of hinting like maybe you're going to hang up. So before you go, Sharo, how can people connect with you if they want to continue to learn with you?
Well, I have my Twitter handle. It is at Sharo Dickerson. I'll put that later in the chat. Also, I have my own podcast, and thanks to Chris, listening to you, and also, having that wonderful experience with our ISTE recaps. It really triggered back my desire to go back into podcasting. So I'm back. So if you want to listen to my, the beginnings again of my podcasts, it's On the Road with Sharo. So I'm sharing a lot of my culture. I'm Filipino. So I'm bringing in, people from all, who I've met along this journey, being an immigrant here in the United States. So that's my flavor there in my podcast. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's really great seeing both of you.
I'm glad you came on. And now real quick, before you actually leave, there's a private chat here on StreamYard. Put in any URLs and I'll copy and paste them so they appear clickable for everybody in the chat. And then there's a record of that. So I want to make sure people can get to your stuff.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Cool. And hopefully we'll see you back here on Friday night.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you
that
to
was
Sharo.
awesome.
Again, callers make the world go round. So it is 10:49. We'll be here for a few more minutes. So if anybody else wants to hop aboard and ask a question, make a comment about TCEA, whatever your experience has been so far, what you're looking forward to, certainly we want to make sure we come back around full circle to the main point of why we're here tonight. And you can do that by going to chrisnessy.com/join. And Sharo put that in the chat, so I will throw that out there into the chat so people can click on it. And while I'm doing that, Fonz, we teased earlier that you were going to demo something super cool, and we're probably going to get a little shortchanged on time, so maybe we'll come back to it also on Friday. But let's give the people maybe what they didn't even know they showed up for.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be great. So the way that I found out about this was through, wrong window. You're looking, I was shopping for some furniture earlier, but here we go. So guys, this is something that I learned about today. And I want to thank Trish Poncio, who was there, Dr. Gonzalez, who was there, Deb, who was there. We were having a great conversation and we were talking about platforms, and they talked about Kumo Space. So Kumo Space is a great way where you actually have a space that you can have 25 people here. And I want you to notice the radius here that I have in my area of my circle. I am only able to hear people that are close or within proximity of this circle. So for example, I don't know if Chris might be able to get in, using a link. So you can move around this room and you can have a conversation here. So this could be a little breakout session where people can meet. And then, of course, you can continue moving around the room. So as a teacher, you would be able to, of course, you wouldn't use this room. They do have a classroom, but here they have a section where you can pour drinks and whatnot. So it's a way for you to socialize and create your own little groups within a big chat. It holds up to 25 people here. And tomorrow I'm having a meeting with them just to see what all else that they have available. But they do have a range here where you can turn that off and you can walk around the room. We can change some settings here. All right. They do have if you get close to the piano, you'll hear the piano. You can make your audio range larger so you can kind of eavesdrop on some of the conversations as you kind of walk by, or you can go megaphone and just hear everything, and again, you can change that to quiet. And I believe Chris might be here. I heard the doorbell ring. Is that you, Chris? Let's see.
I
There
am
you
here.
go.
So hold on. I'm going to back out of here and I'm going to interact with you through this room.
All right. So there you go. Chris is in the room now. And again, I wouldn't be able to hear him if he was talking because he's not within the proximity of this circle here. So again, it's a really cool tool. So let's see. Chris, go ahead and talk now.
Hello, Fonz.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can totally hear you. Now I'm going to move away from you. Now go ahead and talk. And I can't hear Chris because he's not in my range, but now I can change the range. And then if he talks, I'll hear him. And depending on how far he is from me, I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear you. And the closer I get, I'll be able to hear him. So this is great. Like I said, think about maybe in the educational setting, we can change the room. Of course, I don't think I can do it from here yet, but when I go out, I can change the room, and they do have classroom options and so on. So big shout out to that little network meeting that we had where I got to learn about this site, and it's called Kumo Space. So we're going to see if maybe we can give some suggestions to them and see if we can make it a little bit more EDU friendly, maybe. And
I did it. I turned my camera on.
There you go.
I turned my other camera on.
Awesome. So there you go. Good. And then, of course, we have a chat here where you can either chat with the entire room, chat with anybody nearby, or I can specifically chat with Nessie. So there you go. And this is what I love. I mean, you're watching video here as you're moving around, and and you can actually clap, and people will see you clap, not like Clubhouse where they just see you flash. you
Yeah,
can
right.
you can actually clap. But anyway, like I'm not dogging on Clubhouse, but it's just a little funny thing there. But yeah, so again, check it out. It's free. It's called Kumo Space, and right now the setting it's only 25 people within that room. I don't know if there's a different plan, maybe later on to add more people or so on. I think this is relatively new, but like I said, I am meeting with them tomorrow morning, so I'm really excited about the implications maybe for education. But for now, go ahead and try it out, guys, and see what ideas you can think of. And I was talking to another educator earlier today, and they just had the idea of Socratic seminars and how they can split up, the students within the room, and they can have those discussions. And she would just walk by and kind of gauge the conversation, kind of hear them out, and so on. So again, pretty neat idea. So I'm pretty sure you out there can think of some amazing ways that you might be able to use this in maybe just as far as professional development or even maybe within the classroom setting. So I'd love to hear your ideas. So share them away with me at my Edtech Life and see what you can come up with. But we're looking forward to hearing what you guys have, and we'll probably come back to this on Friday, and then I can fill you in on some of the details from that meeting and see where Kumo Space is headed.
Here's what I'm thinking, Fonz. How about for Friday, we don't do the full hour. Maybe we go 45 minutes doing this live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And then why don't we take everybody who's here and invite them to play with us in the Kumo Space on Friday night?
Do it.
All right. Yeah. So come on Friday night. Fonz will have had his conversation. We will set up one of these spaces and we will do, I guess, a House of Edtech daily live show recap after party on Kumo Spaces.
Ooh, parties. Yeah, I told you there ain't no party if it ain't a Nessie party. Look at
there
that.
There you go. Brought to you by Reject Ed.
I love that. There you go. The Reject Ed.
Yes. All right. Fonz, for people who may never interact with my content ever again, and this is the last time they see you because of me, how can they connect with you? Where can they find my Edtech Life? Go ahead.
Hey guys. So thank you, Chris. So as you can see there, my Twitter handle right there at my Edtech Life on Twitter, or you can go to myedtech.life, myedtech.life, and that is our pod page where you will find all of the episodes, and definitely recommend episode 17. Super duper smart guy, looking sharp and everything, give some great advice.
Mr. Podcast over here.
That's right. Mr. Podcast himself is on the show, and it's just amazing. He really does inspire, and his honesty is very refreshing. And so, but anyway, we've got wonderful episodes too as well. So check us out, and thank you so much for you guys that joined. And I get to grow my PLF because I already see, notifications are going up like crazy. So thank you guys. I appreciate y'all. And Friday, it's going to be awesome. So join us.
Yes. So we will be back this Friday, February 5th, 10 p.m. Eastern. If you live in another time zone, do the math because I'm not. But again, I'm Chris Nessie. You've been watching the House of Edtech live. And if you're not subscribed to the House of Edtech podcast, get out from under the rock you listen to podcasts under and go to chrisnessie.com/go and make my Edtech Life and the House of Edtech a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. And I think on Friday night, we're going to make, besides doing the Kumo Spaces, we're going to make a big announcement on Friday night. And Fonz is going to be very excited to be here as we talk about something really, really cool for both of us. So we call that a teaser. So make sure you come back out on Friday night. Tell your friends. We'll see you Friday. Wave goodbye.